Hi there, my name's Ariel Hagen, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the Washington State University Tri-Cities on-campus childcare solution. So first of all, what are we solving for? Well, we're looking to create quality and affordable childcare that is located conveniently on campus with very flexible plan options and hours that coincide with campus schedules. So providing quality, affordability, and convenience as far as childcare is concerned. And this is a really important job. There's a huge market for this. In our research, we found that there are nearly 5 million student parents at universities and colleges across the United States, and that number has been growing over the past decade. So since we have this large addressable market, just to put some context around, the average cost of childcare can be as much as $17,000 in some states, and combining that with the cost of tuition can make going back to school for many people just unmanageable. So we believe that we have a really good opportunity to create a solution here for a lot of people that doesn't exist today. For our specific market, we'd be going after 3 areas within our customer base, so we'll segment them 3 ways. The first is the students. That's kind of our most obvious demographic. Those are parents that have children that are going back to school to further their education. The faculty, so those professors teaching at the university that may have children that need to be cared for. And then staff, so other members that work at the university that perhaps also need care for their children while they're at work. So I'm going to run you through our job steps just to give you a bit of an outline of how this would come to life. First of all, if you were someone that was going to look for childcare for your child, you would probably take a look at your class schedule, right? Looking at what you have upcoming and determining what you need as far as childcare is concerned. From there, it would be important that you would go identify your options. Who is available in the area to care for the children? You would probably contact these providers, get a bit more information about their facilities and their services, and then from there, you would be able to communicate what your child needs. So how old are they, what level of care do they require, etc. After step 4, going on to step 5 on that second row, we probably go for a tour, right? Go see some of these facilities and make sure that you're comfortable with the establishment where your child would be receiving the care. And then once you found one you liked, you could register for the child care services and then of course pay for them. Then the actual physical dropping off of your child at the child care services. And then in that last row is kind of like the tail end of the job steps here, where not only would you drop them off, but then you would want to monitor them while they're receiving care, making sure that everything's okay and being able to communicate with the staff at the center, just in case you needed to check in or if anything was going wrong. And then after the care was finished, you would go back, pick up your child. You'd probably do an evaluation, whether it's formal or informal, on the level of care that your child received. And then you would make the decision of if you're going to continue with this solution or try something else. So if we do all these job steps correctly, we feel that there are some important success outcomes that we've divided into 3 categories: functional, social, and emotional. So functional is basic, right? It is convenient, it's safe, it's affordable, and it's reliable, right? From a social perspective, you may be seen as a good parent because your children are at a good child care facility. And from an emotional standpoint, you may be less stressed because you can focus on school and you're studying without worrying about where your child is or who's caring for them. And you can trust that your child is in the hands of professionals. So there's a lot of ways that this could be a success. And so with all of these different outcomes, we've created a CVM database as part of our research for this project. And rather than going through every single part of the database, because there's a lot of information in there, we thought we would summarize the real key takeaways. So there's 2 categories. Really, the first one is around minimizing, and the elements that we'd be minimizing is the effort, time, and cost associated with childcare, finding childcare, paying for childcare, etc. And then increasing, the second category, our access to childcare, so making it more affordable, and also increasing the time that a student parent could spend on their schoolwork because their child would be being cared for. So after our CVM database, let's go through a bit of a market analysis. I'm going to bring up these 3 segments that I touched on earlier around the students, the faculty, and the staff, which are really the 3 areas of the market we'd be going after. And there's a lot of overlap between these 3 categories, but each one is slightly different. The students are probably highly cost conscious because of the added expense of tuition. And they also have a restricted class schedule, so they're really going to need some flexibility. From a faculty perspective, perhaps there's a bit less emphasis on cost, but the convenience and the flexibility would be really important. And then from a staff perspective, there's probably an element of being cost conscious, and also the convenience factor of having an option that's on campus would be very desirable. So from there, we took a look at our next best solution. So what else is in the Tri-Cities area that could be an alternative to our product, or our service, I should say. So the next best solutions that we researched weren't as good as ours. So for a variety of reasons, when we were doing our research, we found that of course they're off campus, right? There isn't an on-campus solution that exists today. They have the care facilities that we had looked into have longer wait lists, very inflexible schedules. So there's really only a couple options of care levels that you could choose from. Oftentimes, pretty much always, more expensive. And a lower quality facility than what we would be able to offer. So overall, we felt that our solution really had grounds to compete in the existing market. So the go-to-market strategy is really strong, right? It's a very innovative solution. We feel that this could be disruptive to the current childcare market with our affordable care, our flexibility, and our convenience. And then once we really nailed it for the student population, because that's our first big focus, being able to expand into faculty and staff would be a fast follow and something we think that could really help grow our business. And being a part of Washington State University, there's a lot of resources we can leverage as a part of this strategy. So obviously the location being on campus is key. We already have the facility space on campus, so we would be saving a lot of money there, not having to rent a facility or purchase a separate facility. We have student fee subsidies. We have things like donor relations and recruitment resources that are kind of unique to being part of the university. And then we already have kind of like the staples, if you will, of a marketing program as a part of the university, then legal support, IT support, and an existing registration platform. So there's a lot that's kind of already built for us that we would be able to piggyback off of as a part of establishing our new solution. And for all those reasons, we feel that we would have a lot of competitive advantages. And there's two categories. So the first is the value generation, and the second is the cost structure. From a value generation perspective, this is what we could really give to our customer. So we would give a convenient location, flexible schedule, easy registration, and good prices, right? And from a cost structure perspective, we'd be able to compete because we have a lot of advantages, such as the existing real estate, the existing infrastructure of IT, HR, marketing, etc. And then we'd also have some potential labor of students that are working on, or that are going to school on campus that perhaps could do an internship or assist in the labor department at the childcare facility. So there's two different categories where we really think we have strong competitive advantages. Next, I'm going to get into our design solution features. So our product is, of course, high quality childcare that is on campus, affordable and convenient, and making sure that our customers have an opportunity to go back and pursue their education while their children are being cared for. First category is the Undershot value targets. And we have many Undershot value targets in this market, and our solution is kind of built to capitalize on this. So for example, we could do something like using student subsidies and WSU registration platforms to make our solution extra convenient and affordable. So this would minimize the pains like frustrating registration processes and expensive childcare rates. Additionally, we have some must-be targets. So these are essentially the table stakes, what has to exist to be able to compete in this market today. For us, we would need to be able to leverage resources to create a safe and professional environment that delivers on the promise of reliability and quality that the parents are looking for, right? So we must have a safe, reliable, professional environment for these children in order to even be an option for parents to consider. And then next we had a few indifferent value targets. These are also some pain points that are less significant, but we could still leverage our resources to improve them. These would be things like minimizing efforts to find and access childcare, which we could combat with strong marketing and an easy registration process or easy to use website portals, so that we simplify that discovery process for the student parents as they're searching for childcare. And I think we could really help in this area. And then lastly, just wanted to comment that while there are overshot value targets, there weren't any specifically for our product here. There's several local competing solutions, but it wasn't anything worth noting for overshot value targets for our specific project. So next I'm going to kind of tie this together with the whole solution and how we really see this coming to life. We see it as two parts. There's the actual four walls physical childcare center that the children would be in, where the care would actually take place. This would be modern, it would be high quality, it would be clean, it would be something that looks, appealing as a parent. This is somewhere you'd feel comfortable taking your children, be very professional. And then that would be complemented by a very comprehensive website. So what we mean by that is the ability to kind of log in, communicate with the staff, be able to sign up for care, pay for care, get any questions answered, get updates, right? So these two pieces together are what would make our solution very complete. And we would need one with the other. We couldn't have them independent of one another. So just really important that both of these pieces of our whole solution are working together to create this outcome. So as we were designing this, we did a choice-based conjoint survey, and we tested a few different things to see what customers were really key on having as a part of a childcare solution. So on the graph on the left, you can see that our product beat out the next competing solution by a significant margin. So ours was 89%, the next best was 11%, so really had a good advantage there. And on the next slide, I'll take you through these each in more detail. So the elements that we tested were price, availability, the registration process, schedule, so the flexibility element, and then location. And as you can see by the scores, you could see that the three biggest takeaways for the people that completed this survey was a price, so making sure that we were very competitive from a pricing standpoint. Scheduling, right? That flexible schedule was key. That was something that people really found value in. And then third, the location. So the on-campus piece was huge, right? So that gives us a big competitive advantage. Next, I'd like to go through the financials. So from a revenue perspective, the way that we make money is pretty simple, right? We have a wide variety of care options ranging from full-time to what we would call quarter time and really anything in between. And then we forecasted how many people or how many children we thought we would have on a monthly basis at the different rates. And then we calculated the monthly revenue by simply taking the rates times the number of students to calculate the monthly revenue. And this really highlights the flexibility piece, right? So there's a lot of different options of care, levels of care, and that way people can get exactly what they need without overpaying for perhaps things that their child isn't actually taking advantage of. Then from there, we built a cost model. So the cost model has a variety of elements to it: direct costs, indirect costs, fixed costs, variable costs. And some of the key ones that I wanted to highlight as a part of this presentation was our payroll. That's our biggest expense. And it's really important that it is that because we want to make sure that not only do we have very high quality staff looking after the children, but that we have enough staff so that the staff to child ratio is really strong to make sure that there's plenty of eyes watching these children at all times. And so that's one of the reasons why our payroll is such a big portion of our overall cost model. But we really thought through kind of a complete solution here, incorporating a whole bunch of different elements. You'll see a few zeros on the chart in the indirect cost section around marketing, IT, HR, et cetera. And that's, if we go back to kind of that resources that we discussed earlier, those are elements of Washington State University that are already existing that we would be able to leverage without paying for separately. So that's why that looks perhaps a little bit different than other cost models. So from there, once we take the revenue and the cost into consideration and pull that all together, we're targeting to about an 8 to 9% target profit. And what's interesting about being part of the university is we're not really going for maximum profit as we would in a normal corporation standpoint. We really want to make sure that we're keeping as much value in the hands of our customers, aka our students, as possible. So the idea here is to provide a great service and not have it be a pull on the overall university's P&L, but not be something that's just taking away from our students and from a financial perspective. So targeting that 8% profit margin is where we were headed. And so per the calculations on the previous two slides, we came in at 9%. We thought that was a comfortable place to land. Next, I want to touch on the social impact. The first element of the social impact is The fact that we would be providing childcare to parents who may not normally be able to go back and pursue their education due to financial reasons and lack of childcare, right? That's our social job to be done. And there's two values that we could create. The first is the direct value approach. So, by allowing more people to go back and continue their education, we help create more developed communities. We help these people better their lives. We help them better their careers. We help them live a more comfortable life financially because they're able to get a better job, right? So there's very direct value that can be generated by providing this service. And indirectly, there's a few things that we can also benefit from. So the first is by creating our childcare facility in a very eco-friendly way, we believe that we could reduce our carbon footprint with these great decisions we would be making in the construction and the ongoing running and maintenance of our facility. And then secondarily, we think we could actually have a ripple effect throughout the community by offering additional opportunities for parents maybe who don't have a child in the facility today, but we could offer extra parenting classes. Perhaps there could be summer programs when kids are traditionally out of school, and extra subscriptions and clubs that we would have kind of as a benefit from being a part of the bigger university. So lastly, I just want to touch on the final validation. Towards the end of our process here, we did another conjoint survey, which gave the results for the entire solution. And the things that we tested were the Washington State brand, the on-campus location, the flexible schedule, the simple registration process, availability, so lack of wait lists, and then of course a competitive price. And as you can see, our solution beat out the next two childcare options in the Tri-Cities area by significant margins. So we felt good that we had a shot at launching this. And next we'll go into the business strategy. So specifically our business model, this kind of ties together a lot of the things we've been talking about previously, but by being able to incorporate existing facilities as a part of Washington State, leveraging our strategic partnerships, as special donors and other recruitment mechanisms that we have today, we would be able to tap that for additional financial support, and we could really drive the Washington State University institutional social mission of maximizing student potential, and this is a great way we could add value in that way. And quickly, I think it's important to touch on our marketing because I think this is a big piece of it. So the email marketing, we already have a very robust email solution with the existing Washington State University systems. So we could let current students and prospective students know about this service just via email because we already have that information and that capability. And then secondly, the social media is actually a big piece of this because this helps us capture those folks that are kind of high up in the funnel, if you will. Like they don't know that this existed today, and perhaps that was the reason why they weren't considering going back to continue their education. So if we could actually show them that this exists and capture them before they've even made their decisions, it could actually be a pull to the university overall. And then third, campus tours. So being able to have people go and see the childcare facility when they come in for a campus tour, we think could be another great benefit. And no proposal would be complete without doing a thorough evaluation of our risks. So we see two main areas where risks could arise. But we think there's solutions for both. So the first is from a licensing perspective, and the second is from a catering perspective. So plain and simple, without a license, we can't operate. So if we're not able to obtain a license, there is a risk there. Now, we think we could be working very closely with the Attorney General to avoid this, and we don't foresee it being an issue, but wanted to highlight that we do know that that is a potential risk. And secondly, the catering element could be a risk if the existing catering solution at WSU Tri-Cities couldn't handle the increase of demand, aka feeding the kids in the child care center. But to mitigate that, what we've done is we've actually built in some money in our cost structure to be able to cover the additional catering. So we'd be able to kind of offset any additional costs that they would have from a catering perspective. So we think we've been able to mitigate that risk as well. So I'd like to leave you with this quote, that education is the most powerful weapon for changing the world. And we believe that our solution would allow significantly more students to go back to school, finish their education, and better their lives. And for that reason, we believe this is worth pushing forward. Thanks so much for your time.